afternoon, and welcome to the 800 Credit Score Man Show. I am your host, Kevin King. He is I, and I am him, the 800 Credit Score Man himself. And once again, thank each and every one of you for coming in and listening to the 800 Credit Score Man Show. I truly, absolutely appreciate it. Thank you guys for coming in and listening. Today we are celebrating, the third anniversary of the 800 Credit Score Man Show. I can't believe that it's been 3 years already. Where has the time gone? 3 years of the 800 Credit Score Man show. We started where? We started at the stepping stone. If you've been with me from the beginning, from the very beginning, which happened to be May the 28th, 3 years ago. It was May the 28th, 3 years ago, Memorial Day weekend. We started the show, and I have since learned a lot of things since then, for sure. Things about credit, things about people, things about doing this podcast, about my voice, all kinds of things I've learned when it comes to creating and hosting this podcast that are inside of credit, that are outside of credit, that are part of business, things of that nature. So I am so grateful to have the opportunity to come to you on a weekly basis and talk to you about any and everything credit related, and even other finance things. You know, we talk about budgeting, we talk about savings, we talk about all kinds of things. We talk about getting out of debt, all kinds of things that are dealing with your finances. But probably 95% of the shows are about your credit and increasing your credit scores. Because if you increase your credit scores, you're going to lower the interest rates that you have to pay, and that's going to save you money. That's going to put money in your pocket. So that's what we're all about here at the 800 Credit Score Man Show. And thank you all for listening over all this time. Whether you've been listening from the beginning, or you started last week, or today is your first day listening to the 800 Credit Score Man Show, you know that I truly appreciate you guys for listening to the show. So it is the anniversary show. You know, we got to do shout outs and all that kind of stuff, but we'll also have an actual show today. So I'm going to give you 10 things today. I'm going to give you like really what I'm calling like my top 10 things, or top 10 credit pointers. And that's what we're going to talk about today on the 800 Credit Score Man Show. But of course, before we get to some of that, I'm going to give this shout out right quick. I'm going to give this shout out to Keely Hobson. She graduated from high school, you guys. So you guys all say congratulations to Keely Hobson. Congratulations to you. I know your future is going to be so bright that it's going to need shade. So congratulations to you, Keely. Go back and listen to last week's show, Akili. I did a show last week that talked to you graduates, whether you were high school graduates or college graduates. I talked to you about your credit, protecting your credit, because it's very important for you to protect your credit. You're grown now. You're grown, so you need to protect your credit, all right? So make sure that you go back and listen to that show. And I want to give a shout-out right quick to this actress extraordinaire, Anika McFall, too. So I got to give Anika McFall a big shout-out. So happy birthday to you, Anika McFall. And I got to give a shout-out to Tamara McElroy. Tamara McElroy celebrated her birthday earlier, so I want to say happy birthday to you, Tamara, as well. All right, so let's jump into a little bit of a recap right quick. So let's jump into a recap. What in the world has gone on in 3 years of the 800 Credit Score Man Show? So like I mentioned earlier, I started at the stepping stone. So if you haven't been with me from the absolutely very beginning, 3 years ago on that May 28th, I was on a internet radio station. And so I'm calling it the stepping stone because if it wasn't for that, if it was not for that start, then where would we be? This platform wouldn't be where we are now, the platform now. So I call it the stepping stone because we went on to bigger and better things, and I count this podcast as a bigger and better thing. So the platform is larger. It's larger, but without that original show 3 years ago, where would we be right now? So I gotta say thank you to the Stepping Stone, you guys, for starting this whole process off. In 3 years, we're over 100,000 listeners, 75,000 downloads when it comes to it. We've expanded platforms. So not only are we on Spreaker.com, is where you can catch me, and I'm going to do some chats. So on Spreaker, when I do a absolutely totally live show, it's an opportunity for you to chat with me, but you've got to sign up at Spreaker. So go to Spreaker.com and follow me there. So if you go there, you're going to follow me. When you follow me, they're going to make you create a little profile. It's not long at all. Take you 2 minutes, create your profile. You can follow me right there on Spreaker. And then when the live show hits and I let you guys know, you can chat with me during the show. Yes, while the show is actually going on. Now, I don't know if I can read and talk at the same time and respond to you, but we'll have that option for you. So go sign up and follow me on Spreaker, SPREAKER.com. Go to Spreaker.com. So I got to say, of course, thank you again for that. So we expanded platform. So we're on Spreaker. We're on iHeartRadio. We're on iTunes. We're on Google Play. Where else are we? We are on Castbox. We're on Stitcher. We're on Spotify. So we're everywhere that podcasts can be found. So there's absolutely no excuse at all. Not to mention, also, we're on, there's their own app. So the 800 Credit Score Man, you can get the 800 Credit Score Man Show app, whether you have an Android or if you have an iPhone, you can get the 800 Credit Score Man app. So go get the app. You'll always be able to hear it. Every show that has ever been done is on the app. So you can go back on the app. You can look at the show titles. You can look at the description of the show. If you're not sure what this show is about or what have you, you can see how long the show is. And of course, you can like and you can share the show as well. So I'm going to ask you to actually like and share the show. And today's show, I like to see if I can get everybody that's listening, whatever platform you're on, to actually like the show today. If you like the show. If you don't like the show, just let it be. But like the show for me. I want to see how many we can get. All right? So that's where we've come from. We've done a whole bunch of things, but that's where we come from with the platform and where we've been. Now, what has happened with your credit in these past 3 years? What's going on with your credit? Access to your credit reports are much easier. So before, you can only pretty much get your credit report once a year at www.annualcreditreport.com. That's where you can get your credit report once a year for the most part. That's where you can do it. But of course, the platforms have expanded. So there's the Credit Karmas and the Credit Sesames and the Quizzles and the Credit.coms and MyFICO and all of these other platforms where you can get your credit report. So that's expanded since the show has come aboard. Disputing errors is easier now. It's easier for you to dispute your errors because you can do this stuff online. So you can go online. You can go directly to the credit bureau to dispute an error that's on your credit report, or you can use one of these platforms and you could possibly dispute an error that is on your credit report as well. So it's become a little bit easier. They're giving you options there. Sometimes previously there weren't as many options and it didn't fit within what everybody's issue might have been with that particular account. So now you have even more options. You have an option, a whole category where you can say, I don't even own this account. I have no idea what this is. And there are options in there. And then there's another category that'll give you options on why do you think there's an error? What is the issue with this? And you can click on one of those or two of them or even three of them. And you can file disputes on your credit for your credit report. So those are some of the things that have changed. The scores are up. Yes, credit scores are up overall within the last 3 years. So I'm going to take some credit for it. Although I probably have nothing to do with the overall numbers, I'm just saying I'm going to go ahead and a point of personal privilege, I'm going to take some credit for that. But the credit scores are up. So credit scores are at the highest level that they've ever been. And that's because people are becoming educated about their credit, and also they're learning how important credit is and how it impacts other parts of your life. So it's not just so you can go out and buy the car at the best interest rate, not just so when you see that advertisement on TV that says, you can get this car for $239 a month or whatever, so you can actually qualify for that. It's not the only reason to have good credit. There are a lot of other reasons to have good credit. Employers look at your credit. And I'll just tell you right now, employers may look at your credit report, but they don't get a score for you. So they don't know what your credit score is, but they can look at your credit report. So they can see who you owe, who you don't owe, if you got collections, all those kinds of things. They can see if you've been late on payments, all those kinds of things, but they can't see your actual credit score. But employers are looking at it. Insurance companies look at it. So they're deciding when you go get that new car at $239 a month, and you get the red one. So now your insurance company says, up red cars, they get more tickets. People drive a little faster in red cars for whatever reason. That's what the data says, and that's what they actually think. So your rates are a little higher. Well, this person lives in a decent neighborhood, so their rate isn't as high as someone that lives in another neighborhood, another part of town that might have some car crashes, a lot of car crashes over there, or people are stealing cars over in that area, that kind of thing. So not only are they looking at those things and for how far you drive, how far you are from work, how many do you use your car for business, all the factors that they look at. What's your driving record? All the factors that they look at, they're also looking at your credit report, and that's determining or it's a factor when they determine how much money you have to pay them on a monthly basis. So things of that nature, employment, insurance, deposits when you go places, for instance, with utilities, they're looking at that, and that's part of your credit situation. So there's a lot of things that happen with your credit, and people are becoming more and more aware of that and how important it is. So the credit scores are actually up over 700. So that's very good. So again, this is a whole bunch of changes that's happening in the credit world. Medical collections. So now, before you would get a medical collection and they would treat it just like any other collection. That's no longer the case. A medical collection is treated a little bit differently, and it's in your favor as one of the consumers here. Now you can add rent to your credit report. That's something that you can do that's new and happened over the last 3 years. Experian Boost, which I've done an entire show about Experian Boost. Go back and listen to that show about Experian Boost and Ultra FICO as well. That's new. FICO 8 and 9 have come out since the show started. So we got new FICO, new versions of FICO as well, which have all been positive for us, the consumers. Equifax had a huge breach. They had a huge breach a little over a year ago. They had a huge breach, and that was an issue for consumers. That actually gave people credit monitoring because they had this huge breach that affected so many people. So all of these things have happened, and the technology is absolutely better. So that goes hand in hand with all the apps that are out there when you have your different credit places like, the Credit Karmas and credit.com and things of that nature. So all of those things have changed within the 3 years that we've been on the air, and I have been able to bring those things to you, and I've been fortunate to do so, and to have so many different things happen that have been positive that I can come and talk to you about. So those are all great things that have happened since then. So let's do this. Let's jump into the show. I'll talk a little bit more about, what's happening with the 800 credit score man and the business itself, the business of restoring people's credit. We'll talk about that a little later. But let's jump into, the 10 top credit pointers that I have for you. So number one, what's going to be number one? Always number one is to pay on time. You need to set up auto pay. These are some things that can help you. So set up auto pay where you can, and if you're comfortable with it. If you've been with me from the beginning, I have told you guys I'm not crazy about auto pay, at least in most instances. So I've had auto pay on some things, or auto deduction or whatever you want to call it. So my student loan, and over these past 3 years, I was able to pay off my student loans as well. So all right, thank you very much. Set up auto pay where you can and where you feel comfortable with it. So my student loans were set up on auto pay, and I've got a service that goes along with this particular business and with the show that's set up on auto pay. So I'll never miss those things. My website, www.creditscoreman.com. You got to pay those annual fees or whatever it is to keep your website running. That's set up on auto pay. So I'll never miss those things. And like the website can keep rolling as it is. But do these things for your credit as well if you feel comfortable doing it. If you don't particularly trust the place, or they've burned you in the past, if you will, then maybe you don't want to set up auto pay with them. But that's something that you can do. So pay on time. Missing a payment, just one payment, and it doesn't matter if it's a $10 payment, a $100 payment, or a $2,000 payment, it can lower your credit score anywhere from 30 to 100 points.